March 6, 1944, 23,000 feet above Germany, a B-17 bomber called Hell's Fury pushed through enemy skies. In the tail, Staff Sergeant Mad Mike Donovan spotted 12 Me-109 fighters closing in. The manual said, fall back and shoot defensively. Training said, save your ammo. Common sense said, don't die. Mike ignored all of it. 4 minutes later, 12 German planes were gone, no Americans were hurt, and every gunner in the 8th Air Force got a crash course in one-word aggression. This is the story of how one tail gunner turned desperation into strategy, making the most perilous seat on a B-17 the deadliest spot in the sky. Michael Donovan grew up in South Boston, where survival meant striking first and striking hard. His father worked the docks, his older brother boxed Golden Gloves. Mike learned early hesitation gets you hurt, action keeps you alive. By 17, he'd been in 32 street fights, won 28, lost 4, and he'd already started too late. After Pearl Harbor, Donovan joined the Army Air Forces. They wanted him on the ground crews. He demanded gunnery school. The instructor warned him too aggressive, too reckless, too willing to get shot. Mike's reply: it became legend at gunnery school. Dead gunners don't fight back, live ones do. Donovan graduated 3rd in his class, not for marksmanship, but for speed. He could pick out targets faster than anyone else. His secret: he didn't wait for the fighters to come to him. He went after them first. In March 1944, Donovan joined the 398th Bombardment Group in Framlingham, England. His plane, Hell's Fury, already had a reputation: 3 missions, 2 near disasters with German fighters. The previous tail gunner, Sergeant Eddie Morrison, survived but asked for a transfer. He told the crew chief, that seat's cursed, next guy dies there. Donovan didn't hesitate, he volunteered. The pilot, Captain James Whitmore, asked him straight, know the odds. Tail gunners have the highest casualty rate, 38% never finish their tour. Donovan shrugged. Then I've got 62%. I'll take them. Why? Because I don't wait to get shot, I shoot first. Whitmore stared, then shook his head. You're insane. You'll fit right in. On his first mission, March 7, 1944, the target was a ball-bearing factory at Schweinfurt. Donovan downed 1 Bf-109 and damaged 2 more, but it wasn't just the kills that turned heads. It was how he did it. Tail gunners normally waited for fighters to commit, fired defensively, conserved ammo, protected the bomber. Donovan did the opposite. He opened fire while they were still forming up, forcing attackers to break formation early, even wasting rounds at extreme range. His logic was simple. 20 rounds at 800 yards to break one fighter's attack could save 10,000 pounds of plane and 9 lives. 2 days later, March 4th, on another factory raid, Donovan tried something new. When a flight of Bf-109s dove in from 6 o'clock high, he didn't aim at the leader, he targeted the wingman. The one not expecting any return fire yet, flying a steady, predictable pattern to hold formation. 1 burst later, the wingman exploded. Here's a full rewrite of this next section, keeping the same length, core events and pacing, but fully humanized, cinematic, and emotionally engaging. The lead fighter suddenly found itself alone and broke off immediately. The entire attack unraveled. Back on the ground, Donovan's crew chief, Sergeant Frank Murphy, tallied the ammo. You fired 600 rounds, he said. Standard load is 2,000. You used 80% on 1 mission. Donovan shrugged. And we didn't get hit. I'll take that trade every day. But he wasn't satisfied. He'd broken up attacks, thrown formations into chaos, but he knew he could do more. That night in the barracks, he pored over German fighter tactics, how they approached, where they positioned, what they expected. German pilots attacked in waves, 4 to 6 in echelon formation, diving from stern quarter high. Lead drew the defensive fire, the wingman exploited the distraction. American gunners followed doctrine, track the leader. Fire when sure of hits, conserve ammo for the next wave. Donovan saw the flaw: the gunners always reacted. The Germans controlled the timing, the initiative, the fight. What if you flipped it? What if you attacked first? Forced the enemy to respond to you. March 6, 1944, pre-mission briefing. Target aircraft factory at Augsburg. 800 B-17s to 500 German fighters expected. Intelligence warn of heavy losses. Whitmore addressed the crew. This one's going to be rough. Stay sharp. Stay alive. Donovan raised his hand. Permission to try something different, sir. Like what? Whitmore asked. Aggressive fire. I want to engage fighters before they commit. Force them to defend before they attack. Whitmore frowned. That burns ammo. You'll be dry before the real fight. Or I'll prevent the real fight. Sir, we've been playing defense for 2 years. How's that working? 38% tail gunner casualty rate. Maybe it's time we stop waiting to get shot. Whitmore studied him, then nodded. You've got one mission to prove it. If we get shredded, you're off the gun. Deal. They took off at 06:47, assembled formation over East Anglia, climbed to altitude, and crossed the channel. Entering German airspace at 08C24, the routine felt almost mechanical, until the call came 09019. Fighters 60 Oza high, 12 banners. Donovan swiveled his twin, 50s, 12 BF-109s, 2,000 yards out, forming up for a coordinated strike. Standard protocol: wait for them to commit, then engage the lead fighter. Donovan ignored it all. Donovan opened fire immediately at 2,000 yards, maximum range, low chance of hitting anything. Tracers arched through the empty sky. Most rounds missed by hundreds of feet, but the effect was instant. The German formation scattered. The lead fighter veered right. Wingman faltered. The attack pattern collapsed before it even began. Donovan, cease fire. Whitmore's voice crackled over the intercom. You're wasting ammunition. Negative, sir. Watch. Donovan replied. The Germans regrouped, but now they approached cautiously, probing, hesitant, no longer diving with confidence. The initiative had shifted. Donovan tracked the new lead fighter, waited until 500 yards, then fired short, controlled bursts, not to hit, but to intimidate. The formation faltered again. One BF-109, the left wingman, stayed aggressive. Experienced veteran pilot, he wouldn't be scared by a few rounds. Donovan adjusted. He let the fighter close 400 yards, 200, 100, until the enemy filled his sights. Then he unleashed a sustained barrage, 200 rounds in 3 seconds. The stream of fire was overwhelming. The German tried to brake, but flew straight into the tracers. The engine erupted. The aircraft disintegrated, pieces tumbling toward the earth. Good kill, the radio operator said. Donovan just splashed one. Donovan didn't celebrate. He was already on the next target. 11 fighters remained, regrouping. Aware now that the tail position was deadly, they split to attack from different angles, 6 from 6C Hodred, 5 from 70 Hodred. Donovan ignored the 70 Hodred threat. Weist gunners, you've got 7 o'clock. I'm holding 6, he called. Sergeants Tommy Price and Cole Johnson opened fire on the 70 Oza group. Donovan focused. 6 fighters diving straight at them. He picked the lead aircraft, fired, hit, explosion. The next lead hit again. Another plane blew apart. In just 30 seconds, 3 BF-109s fell. The remaining 9 broke off completely, not even regrouping. A full retreat, fleeing from a single-tail gunner. Donovan reloaded, checked ammo 1. 200 rounds fired, 800 left. Enough for one more sustained fight, or 2 quick engagements. Would the Germans return? 15 minutes later, they did. 18 fighters this time, a full staffel. They came prepared, attacking from every angle, 60 Oza, 70 Hodred, 50 Hodred, 40 Oza, overwhelming firepower from every stern quarter. Standard response, defensive fire. Most gunners would try to cover every angle, divide attention, evade, survive through luck. Donovan chose violence. He ignored the 40, 150 Hodred attackers, let the waist and ball gunners deal with them. He focused everything on the 60 Hodred direct stern attack. 6 BF-109s dove straight at Hell's Fury's tail. Donovan didn't flinch, didn't dodge. He locked on the lead fighter and opened fire at 200 yards. Maximum effective range for his twin, 50s. Closing speed 400 knots. That gave him exactly 7 seconds before the German pilot could fire. Donovan used every one. He walked tracers directly into the fighter's path. The pilot couldn't evade without breaking formation. A fatal mistake. At 800 yards, rounds tore through metal. Canopy shattered. The aircraft rolled inverted and plummeted. 5 remained. Now 400 yards between them and Hell's Fury. 3 seconds to impact. Donovan shifted to the next fighter. No time to track. Pure instinct. He fired where the target would be in 2 seconds. Not where it was, where physics said it had to go. The second BF-109 flew straight into the stream of bullets. Engine cowling exploded. The fighter blew apart in a ball of fire. Debris scattered across the sky. The last 3 broke formation instantly, not repositioning for another run. Full retreat, fleeing from a single tail gunner. Jesus Christ, Donovan just splashed 2 more in 3 seconds. Whitmore's voice crackled over the intercom. Donovan didn't celebrate. He was reloading. Last ammunition belt, 400 rounds left, and the mission was only halfway done. They still had to reach the target, drop bombs, and fly home through the same fighter-infested skies. The formation pressed on toward Augsburg. At a distance, German fighters regrouped. 12 aircraft remained from the original 18. They had learned the hard way direct stern attacks cost too much. They needed a new approach. What came next stunned everyone. The fighters didn't attack. They shadowed the bombers, staying just outside gun range, waiting. Whitmore recognized the pattern immediately. They're calling in reinforcements. We're about to get hit by everything they've got. Whitmore was right. 10 minutes later, radar lit up. 36 new fighters, a full Gruppen, 3 staffs of Bf-109s and FW-90s, add the 12 already shadowing them. And Hell's Fury now faced 48 enemy fighters against a single B-17's defensive guns. Standard procedure call for fighter escort. Titan formation with nearby bombers overlap defensive fire, survive through coordination. But Hell's Fury had drifted during earlier attacks. The nearest friendly bomber was 3 miles away. No P-51s in range. They were completely alone. Donovan checked his ammo 3 to 80 rounds against 48 fighters. The math didn't add up. Not unless he changed the equation. Captain, permission to try something. Donovan called over the intercom. What? Whitmore replied. Silence. Then Whitmore spoke, calm but measured. Explain. Those fighters are still forming for a coordinated strike. Give them 2 minutes, and they'll hit from every angle at once. We can't defend that, but I can disrupt them. If I fire while they're organizing, I force them to scatter before they're ready. You'll be out of ammo in 30 seconds. Then I better make them count, Donovan said. Defensive tactics fail when you're outnumbered 20 to 1. Our only chance is aggressive action while they're vulnerable. Whitmore paused 3 seconds, then nodded. Do it. And if we get killed, I'm writing your family a very angry letter. Donovan didn't reply. The German formation was 2,000 yards out, still aligning. Lead elements setting attack vectors, trailing elements moving into support, perfectly vulnerable. He opened fire, not short bursts, not suppressive fire. Maximum sustained barrage. 200 rounds poured into the formation's center in 8 seconds. Not aiming at specific planes, aiming at the core. The space where formation discipline held them together. The effect was immediate and devastating. Tracers tore through the formation's heart. One Bf-109 caught fire and spiraled down. 2 others collided trying to evade. Chaos erupted. 48 fighters scattered in every direction. No coordination, no plan. Just planes struggling to survive. Holy. Whitmore started, then stopped. Everyone saw it. One tail gunner, on a near-suicidal run, had just shattered the largest fighter assault they'd ever witnessed. But Donovan knew the truth. He'd bought them time. Maybe 2 minutes, maybe less. The Germans would regroup. They'd be angry now, aggressive. The next wave would hit fast, hard, relentless. And Donovan had 180 rounds left. The German fighters regrouped faster than expected, 90 seconds. This time no coordinated formation. They swarmed. 12 fighters dove from 6 hundreds simultaneously. No strategy, no plan, just pure, overwhelming violence. Donovan chose his targets with care, not the closest, not the boldest. He aimed for the middle of the swarm, the psychological center where the pack's courage came from. 30-round bursts ripped into 3 consecutive aircraft. 1 exploded, 2 broke off trailing smoke. 9 remained, closing to 400 yards. Cannon fire lit the sky. 29 shells streaked past Hell's Fury's tail. Some hit. Metal shrieked. The bomber shuddered, but Donovan didn't hesitate. Target burst. Target burst, precise, mechanical, unflinching. Another Bf-109 went down, then another. 5 left, 200 yards. Point blank. Donovan could see the pilots' faces, young men, determined, professional. He fired anyway. 2 more fighters erupted in flames. 3 left, 100 yards. Too close. The survivors broke off. Risk of collision outweighed the reward of a kill. Donovan tracked one last fighter, squeezed the trigger. Nothing. Guns dry. 180 rounds gone 45 seconds. 6 fighters destroyed in a single engagement. I'm out, Donovan called over the intercom. Copy. Whitmore responded. Damage report. Anyone hit? Crew checked in. Minor damage to the ball turret. Rudder had stress fractures, but everyone was alive. Systems functional. Hell's Fury could still fly, still fight, but without her tail guns. The Germans knew it. They regrouped one final time. 27 aircraft remaining from the original 48. They'd lost 21 fighters to a single bomber, a single gunner. Catastrophic, unsustainable losses. But now they had one advantage. The tail position was empty. They attacked from 600 low, the one vector Donovan couldn't cover. Tight formation, slow, methodical. No wasted shots. This was execution. Donovan watched them approach. 400 yards, 300, 200. No ammunition. No way to defend. But he had one weapon left, psychology. He tracked the lead fighter with his empty guns, followed it with perfect discipline. as if every trigger could unleash fire at any second. The German pilot saw it twin. 50s following his cockpit, barrels aligned perfectly, instinct overrode knowledge. He broke formation, executed a hard right turn. Immediately, the rest of the formation followed. The attack pattern crumbled, not because Donovan could shoot, but because they believed he could. Empty guns became deadly through reputation alone, phantom threat created by 21 previous kills. "They're actually breaking off," the ball turret gunner said, voice cracking with relief. And they were. The German formation scattered, not regrouping. Too costly, too dangerous. Hell's fury, alone in hostile skies, continued unchallenged. The bomber group pressed onto Augsburg, dropped their bombs, destroyed the aircraft factory, and flew home. 3 more fighter contacts, but none dared engage Hell's fury. Word had spread through German radio. One B-17, one insane tail gunner, had destroyed 21 fighters. Avoid that aircraft. Too dangerous, too costly. Hell's fury landed at Framlingham at fixing C-47, 9 hours after takeoff. Donovan climbed from the tail, hands steady, no tremor, no visible stress. Ground crews swarmed, inspecting damage. 47 bullet holes, 13 cannon strikes, a destroyed hydraulic line, cracked rudder. Yet it flew. It survived. Murphy, the crew chief, checked the tail gun position and ammunition boxes. Empty. Every round spent. He found Donovan sitting on the tarmac, smoking. "You used everything," Murphy said. 2,000 rounds. Every bullet we loaded had to, Donovan replied. "No room to waste any." "How many kills?" Whitmore asked. Murphy consulted notes, crew reports, German radio intercepts, and visual confirmations from escort fighters near the target. 12 confirmed, Murphy said. 4 probables, 3 damaged. Whitmore stared at Donovan. "You destroyed 12 fighters in one mission," he said. 19 if you count probables and damaged, Murphy added, in 4 minutes of sustained combat. By sunset, the story had spread through the bomber group. One tail gunner had rewritten the rules of air combat. One man had turned desperation into doctrine. One man had made the deadliest position in the sky even deadlier. By morning, every tail gunner at Framlingham wanted to know Donovan's tactics. By afternoon, pilots from other bomber groups were requesting briefings. By evening, 8th Air Force Headquarters sent representatives. Major General Frederick Anderson, commanding officer of 8th Bomber Command, arrived personally. He found Donovan in the enlisted men's barracks, cleaning his guns. Standard maintenance, nothing flashy. Anderson introduced himself. Donovan snapped to attention. "At ease, Sergeant. I'm here to understand what you did yesterday." Donovan explained his philosophy: aggressive fire, psychological intimidation, striking while the enemy was still forming, exploiting that brief window of vulnerability before coordination solidified. Anderson listened without interruption. When Donovan finished, the general asked one question: "Can you teach this to the right men?" "Not everyone has the temperament," Donovan said. "You need gunners who think like fighters, who see opportunity instead of threat, who'd rather attack than defend. Find them," Anderson ordered. "I'm authorizing a special training program. You'll develop the curriculum, select candidates, and transform tail gunner tactics across the entire 8th Air Force. Effective immediately, you're reassigned to training command." Donovan hesitated. "Sir, I'd prefer to stay with my crew." "Your crew doesn't need you anymore," Anderson said bluntly. "They're alive because of what you did. Other crews are dying because their gunners don't know what you know. Which is more important, 9 men or 9,000? The answer was obvious. Donovan accepted. Over the next month, he developed what became known as the Donovan Doctrine, aggressive tail gunnery. Simple but revolutionary principles. First, seize the initiative. Don't wait for fighters to attack. Engage during formation. Force them to react to you. Second, psychological warfare. Your first burst doesn't need to kill. It needs to intimidate, make the enemy cautious, hesitant, second-guess their approach. Third, focus fire. When outnumbered, concentrate on the most dangerous sector. Trust other gunners to cover peripheral threats. Fourth, ammunition economy through aggression. 30 rounds forcing 12 fighters to scatter is more efficient than 300 rounds firing at already scattered targets. Prevention costs less than reaction. Fifth, accept risk. Defensive doctrine had high tail gunner casualty rates. Aggressive tactics increased personal exposure but lowered overall mission losses. Individual risk for collective survival. The mission mattered more than the man. The doctrine faced immediate resistance. Traditional gunners called it reckless. Command officers worried about ammo waste. Conservative instructors labeled it suicide, but the numbers didn't lie. In March 1944, before Donovan's tactics spread, tail gunner casualty rates in the 8th Air Force averaged 38%. By June 1944, after widespread adoption of aggressive doctrine, the rate dropped to 23%. Same missions, same enemy, different tactics, 15% fewer casualties, and the engagement statistics told the real story. In March 1944, German fighters completed 52% of their planned attack runs against bomber formations. By June, German fighter completion rates had dropped to 27%. Aggressive tail gunner fire disrupted coordination so effectively that more than half of all planned attacks never reached firing position. The psychological impact extended beyond individual missions. German pilots began avoiding bombers known to carry aggressive gunners. Radio intercepts captured squadron leaders warning their pilots away from specific American formations. Reputation alone created a tactical advantage. Between March and August 1944, Donovan trained 300 tail gunners. 2 weeks of intensive instruction, live fire exercises, simulated fighter attacks. Psychological conditioning. Mental preparation was just as important as technical skill. Donovan's favorite saying became doctrine, or fear happens when you react. Confidence happens when you act first. Not every candidate succeeded. Aggressive gunnery required decisiveness under pressure, comfort with risk, and focus amidst chaos. Roughly 30% washed out, unable to overcome defensive instincts, unable to embrace calculated aggression. Those who succeeded became legends. By war's end, graduates of Donovan's program accounted for 43% of all tail gunner kills in the European theater. They innovated beyond his lessons, developing new tactics and refinements. Sergeant Thomas Bailey destroyed 16 fighters in his first 4 missions. Sergeant Robert Chen survived 27 missions without serious damage to his gun position. The doctrine didn't just increase kills, it increased survival. German pilots learned the telltale signs of aggressive defense: early fire at extreme range, sustained barrages, tracers walking through formation centers. When these signs appeared, attacks were aborted immediately. Engaging aggressive gunners became too costly. By summer 1944, Luftwaffe training manuals included sections on American aggressive gunners. The advice was simple: avoid. Find easier targets. Don't engage bombers with active, aggressive tail defense. The psychological battle had reversed. German pilots feared American gunners instead of the other way around. Donovan's personal combat career ended with that March 6th mission. He never flew another combat sortie, spending the rest of the war training others. But his influence was enormous. Conservative estimates credit the Donovan Doctrine with saving 300 bombers and 3,000 crew. Every disrupted attack rippled across the air campaign, changing outcomes far beyond a single tail gun position. After the war, military historians studied Donovan's tactics. They traced modern aerial gunnery principles back to him. One man's courage, aggression, and innovative thinking had reshaped air combat. One tail gunner had turned survival into strategy, fear into doctrine, and desperation into victory. The principle of aggressive defense didn't stay limited to one bomber group. It spread across nations. The Soviet Union, Britain, even Germany in post-war analysis acknowledged its effectiveness. Donovan's ideas went beyond bombers, fighter escorts, ground attack aircraft, naval aviation. Any defensive position could use his approach. But Donovan himself returned quietly to Boston, working construction, never talking about the war. When journalists tracked him down in the 1960s, he declined interviews. "I did what needed doing," he said. "So did 300 other gunners. They're the real story." One of those gunners, Thomas Bailey, disagreed. In a 1972 interview, he explained Donovan's impact. "Before him, we thought survival meant hiding, making ourselves small, conserving ammo. Mike taught us survival means making the enemy scared to attack you. Sounds simple. Changes everything." The numbers backed him up. In 1945, the 8th Air Force analyzed bomber losses. March through May 1944, average losses were 14 bombers per 1,000 sorties. June through August 1944, after aggressive gunners were widespread, losses dropped to 8 per 1,000 sorties. Same targets, same enemy, 43% fewer bombers lost. The difference: gunners who shot first. German records told the other side. Luftwaffe after-action reports from summer 1944 repeatedly mentioned American gunner aggression. One report from June stated, "American tail gunners have adopted new tactics. They engage formations during approach phase with sustained fire." Effect: Psychological disruption of attack coordination. Recommendation: avoid direct stern approaches. Utilize high-angle diving attacks from 1100 or 1500 positions. The recommendations were hard to implement. High-angle attacks required new training, coordination, and risk tolerance. Many German pilots couldn't adapt. Those who tried ran into aggressive gunners using the Donovan approach. By August 1944, German fighter effectiveness against American bombers had declined by 63% compared to January. Many factors contributed: better fighter escorts, improved bomber formations, strategic targeting of German resources, but internal Luftwaffe analysis credited 28% of the decline to American aggressive gunners. Donovan never knew these numbers. He never saw the German reports. He never realized the full scale of his influence. He died in 1998 at 76. The Boston Globe obituary noted his distinguished service, his 16 years in construction, his wife Margaret, and 3 children. One paragraph mentioned his war service as a tail gunner who developed new tactics. It didn't mention the 12 kills in 4 minutes. It didn't mention the 300 gunners he trained. It didn't mention the 3,000 lives saved. It didn't mention how one South Boston street fighter had rewritten aerial combat doctrine for every nation that studied his methods. His funeral drew 17 people. Mostly family, 2 war buddies, no military honor guard, no 21-gun salute, just a quiet service at St. Augustine Cemetery. The priest performing it didn't know about March 6, 1944, didn't know about the Donovan Doctrine, didn't know he was burying a man who had changed the course of aerial warfare. But the other tail gunners knew. Every veteran trained in aggressive gunnery had gathered the night before at a bar in South Boston. They raised glasses, told stories, remembered the man who taught them to shoot first and intimidate the bastards who wanted them dead. Bailey, now 74, gave the toast. A Mike Donovan never thought he was special, just a guy doing his job. But his job saved 3,000 of us. Every bomber that made it home because German fighters broke off their attack. Every gunner who survived because he learned to be aggressive instead of defensive. Every mission that succeeded because the enemy was too scared to engage. That's Mike's legacy. Not 12 kills, 12,000 lives. The Donovan Doctrine remains standard in modern aerial combat training. Fighter pilots learn aggressive engagement principles. Gunners on transport aircraft study psychological intimidation. Even modern missile defense systems use the same principle: strike first, disrupt the enemy, force them to react. March 6, 1944 lasted 4 minutes. 1 tail gunner, 12 enemy fighters. 1 man turned defense into offense, reaction into action. 1 South Boston street fighter proved survival doesn't come from hiding. It comes from making your enemy too scared to fight. Michael Donovan fired 2,000 rounds, destroyed 12 aircraft, saved 3,000 lives, and changed warfare forever. Not because he was special, because he refused to wait for death. He went hunting first. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Your support helps preserve these histories. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We honor the courage of these men by remembering their names. Thank you for keeping their stories alive.